So what's going on, everybody? So I know everybody's talking about the election and certain basic issues, and I don't mean to degrade that in any way, but what a lot of people are not talking about is Trump and the White Hats and military or whoever trying to get rid of evil in the world. And so a lot of this conspiracy talk and deep state and all that, a lot of things come up, right? And so as part of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what some of this evil is, because the evil that we're talking about is in some sense hidden from the limelight. And a lot of people, unless they have tangible evidence, where's the video, all this stuff, it's not going to be fully embraced unless it comes out slowly and there's, in some sense, quote unquote, hard evidence. And so we're seeing some of that with the Diddy stuff, with all these famous people. You got the child trafficking stuff and just so many things. But Trump, for a very long time, has looked at human rights abuse, corruption, and just this war on cartels and just this underground faction of what is basically going on into the US. And it involves immigration, it involves the open borders and all of that. And so I want to talk a little bit about this as other people have been pointing this out and putting certain things together, because the focus here is that, yes, Trump will be elected, we'll have, jobs back and the economy and all these things. But at the same time, these guys are very serious. And so I remember just certain clips throughout the years, certain things, certain news points, and it's really hitting harder now as the election, quote unquote, approaches and just other stuff. So let's talk a little bit about this. So if you remember here, and this is just some clips from certain people, I think Burning Bright put this together, but in December of 2017, Trump signs executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. December 2023, Trump declares war on cartels as part of his Agenda 24 platform. Now, before this, I remember looking at this clip. If you remember during COVID, I don't know how involved a lot of you were in watching, but I was watching this for work, basically, just every day. Like, I was looking at it, trying to get details for COVID and just putting reports together. I was doing it for my own education and just so many things. But there was this one press conference that really stuck out to me. It was this one here, for which he mentions a specific declaration of war on the cartels.
The nation's focus on the coronavirus. There's a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain. And we must not let that happen. We will never let that happen.
And he brought his entire sort of cabinet and these very, quote unquote, important people. They all take a turn and they address this very heavily. And this was literally during the daily press conferences of COVID. And he was like out of left field in some sense, saying all these things about the cartels and attacking this. Now, going back, he's done so many things with regards to declaring war. He made campaign videos, right, on the Agenda 2024 platform in May of 2024. Rolling Stone reports Trump is planning to send kill teams to Mexico to take out cartel leaders. You can look all these reports up. May 2024, Toronto Dominion Bank tied to laundering of illicit fentanyl profits. A federal probe announced. September 2024, Warren Buffett begins media described dump a ton of Bank America shares, prompting questions from industry analysts. October of 2024, TD Bank pleads guilty to Bank Secrecy Act and money laundering conspiracy violations in $1.8 billion resolution. October 2024, same month, Trump proposes seizing assets from cartels to compensate victims of crime. And then in that same month, Bank of America warns, quote, enforcement action by feds possible over money laundering. And so, again, this is part of Q and just other stuff, but who controls the cartels? Who controls the banks? What is a deep state? And then again, Trump here talking about or considering halting federal grants to police that decline to participate in mass deportations. And so there's this whole thing that's in some sense, all these separate points that kind of converge on the idea that there's something massive going on. There's deportations, there's federal, there's the bank and like criminal, corporate crimes, cartels, all these things. And there's something more nefarious going on behind the scenes. And I don't have time to look into all of these things, and you can research this yourself and put two and two together. But people are talking about this as of late because of all of this rhetoric and how over the years it's being ramped up into some sort of big operation. Some others are pointing out the jets and the military plane movements and so many things. And recently there's this video, I think in El Salvador, where like 5,000 soldiers were neatly arranged and they're going to go into a specific region to clear out the cartels and just basically declare war on them. And so if you know anything about watching documentaries on these cartels, especially in Mexico, they're very much ingrained into the corruption, the government, into the people, the society. It's very hard to fight them because they're so entrenched, and there's a fear factor, there's bribery and all these things. But Trump and many of these white hats have specifically declared war on these guys, and it's a very dangerous thing to do. YouTubers, other, celebrities have denounced it, and then they end up dead in Mexico. And so these things, it's not a light thing to say because of the amount of power that they have. And so there's something going on here for which we are going to see a clearing of house because of this whole issue that we have, especially in the States, with fentanyl, with the drug abuse, and just so many homeless people, and this addiction factor, and how people are being fed this heinous poison that we have in society today that is causing this chaos in productivity, society to grow and to be healthy. And so again, Trump and the white hats, these guys are taking this very seriously, but there's more than meets the eye, and more attention is going to be brought to this. But also that as we look to the future in celebration and in prayer, that we should be mindful of this because more is to come, and it's going to be a crazy time as we try to rid evil as much as possible. Again, evil is not going to be completely gone until obviously Christ returns and God, everything happens into the millennial age. But for now, what we are seeing is an attempt to try to do this as much as possible. And so I believe that we're moving in a great direction and there's going to be good progress made. But again, it's still a big war of good versus evil. And so more to come, guys. Just thought it would be a good point of just conversation to look at as we move into the elections and beyond. So love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.